Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, we're going to talk about a Epiphone 1959 Les Paul Standard in aged cherry burst. Epiphone made in partnership with the Gibson Custom Shop, they did a limited edition 1959 Les Paul Standard tribute. It's a recreation of the vintage guitar, and let's just get to the specs right away. It has a mahogany body with a maple top and a AAA figured maple veneer, a 1959 hand-rolled neck profile with the long neck tenon. It has an aged finish, and it has cream binding. It has a mahogany neck with an Indian laurel fretboard, 24 and 3/4 inch scale length, 12 inch fingerboard radius, 22 medium jumbo frets, Graphtec new bone nut, trapezoid inlays. We got nickel hardware, Epiphone lock tone, ABR1 bridge, lock tone, stop bar, Epiphone Deluxe, vintage tulip keys, cream plastic gold top hat with dial pointers for the control knobs. This is the big change between the regular Epiphone lines. The electronics, it has a Gibson Burstbucker 2 in the neck and a Gibson Burstbucker 3 in the bridge, along with CTS pots, Mallory capacitors, and 50s era wiring. And a 3-way switchcraft toggle switch. And then for just a little bit of bling, we have an Epiphone limited edition metal medallion toggle switch backplate. The standard colors are the aged cherry burst and the aged dark burst, which is like a vintage sunburst, or it almost kind of looks like Epiphone's bourbon burst. There are some exclusive colors. Sweetwater, I think, had a southern fade, and somebody had almost like a lemon burst type of finish. The reason for me getting this is I got it in my head I wanted a cherry burst Les Paul, and I had seen one that it was a standard 50s, but it was just really dark. It looked cool, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't what was in my head for like a cherry burst finish. And I got on Reverb, and I'd been looking around, and I had a few. I figured I was either going to get a like 96-ish to 2000 cherry burst made in Korea one, or maybe I would pull the trigger on this if I found one for a decent price, and I happened to find one for a decent price. I picked it up for $729. Now, mind you, the MSRP for these is $799. And if you look around on Reverb, you can find them for decent prices, but be careful, because there are incorrect listings and there are some that are grossly overpriced. You can still find some new for $799, but the used ones you can get fairly reasonably. There are a couple that, people put locking tuners on or change the pickups out on, and now they're asking $900 for them. But you can still find some of them with the original hardware and the original electronics for less than retail. However, there are some, like I said, that are incorrectly labeled. Like I seen one, it was labeled as the aged dark cherry burst, and it was like $600. I'm like, that's a fucking good deal. Well, it was the Les Paul Classic. It wasn't the 1959 Standard. And I seen one that it just completely was not even close. It was just the Les Paul Standard. So be vigilant. I mean, people that generally know what they're looking for can tell if the listing is correct, but some people might not necessarily know what they're looking for and pick up the wrong thing, especially if you're buying used through Guitar Center. They don't always label things correctly at all. If you're unsure, maybe don't buy it. First impressions of the guitar when I opened up the case was, this thing is beautiful. The pictures do not do it justice. The vast difference between the photographs and how it actually looks once you get it in your hands are like night and day. This thing is probably one of the most beautiful guitars I've ever purchased. The aged finish is more of a matte finish than I would say an aged finish, but it feels really good. It's super smooth. Ironically though, the neck seems to be slightly glossy, and I don't know if that's just this one or if they're all like that. It's not from playing it, because the whole back of the neck is glossy to an extent. Not as glossy as like your typical glossy Epiphone finishes, but glossy nonetheless. The fit and finish is what I would expect from an Epiphone guitar. I don't think it's any better than the standard 50s or the standard 60s, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's made in the same place. However, the electronics and the pickups definitely justify the $200 premium over the standard models. I know people's mileage may vary on the Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups and the standard models, but no matter how you slice it, the Gibson Burst Buckers are better pickups. Now, the CTS pots, you're getting CTS pots in the standards. The 50s era wiring probably matters to some people. I don't care. The Switchcraft switch is a major improvement over the standard Epiphone switch. Mainly for one, I haven't had to clean it yet to make it work. The electronics definitely justifies the price increase. Plus you get this badass case. I don't really care about the if it's vintage accurate or not. What I think is cool is the Pepto-Bismol pink interior. I don't know what it is, but it's awesome, and I wish I could get more cases like this for my other guitars. I can talk about it all day long, and the real question is, how does it sound? And I think it sounds pretty good, so let's just get into that. final thoughts for the Epiphone 1959 Les Paul Standard. If you are expecting something that is leaps and bounds better than the standard Epiphone offerings, you may be sorely disappointed. As I stated, the fit and finish, to me, isn't any better than any other Epiphone guitar that I've played. However, the money that was put into this by Epiphone and the increase in price is justifiable because you do get better pickups, a better switch, and a hard shell case. The finish is awesome, and it's something that I wish they would mess around with more. Obviously, they have the same kind of finish on the Prophecy series. The neck profile feels slightly chunkier than what is on my standard 50s, and it did take a little bit of getting used to. It is not unplayable, and once you become accustomed to it, it is comfortable. Now, mind you, I have pretty big mitts, so it might not bother me as much as it would bother somebody with smaller hands. I would suggest, if you can play it somehow before you buy it, maybe try it out to see if it's right for you. I don't want to say it's the definitive Epiphone Les Paul, but it is probably the closest you're going to get to the Gibson experience out of the box. I don't know if this is a guitar that I could tell you, yeah, it's worth spending like $900 to $1,000 on, but if you get it in between that $700 to $800 range, I think you'll find a lot to like here. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch, and if you could rate, comment, subscribe. Every little interaction helps keep me in the algorithm and boost things, and the channel is growing slowly but surely, so I'd like to see that. Again, like always, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you in the next one.